You can never capture the everything of an event of any magnitude, really. There's always stories that don't want to be held and don't want to be remembered, and don't want to be commemorated. Those people who want to share their story have an opportunity to share their story. And that there is a healing that is often available for people when they do share their story, when they have a chance to revisit it, to reflect on it, to release it. I've already had I like to call it an honour to sit with people and record their stories. And they really need to be cared for gently. A lot of the early work with the development for this project was very physical, and we used a lot of the oral histories that I had brought to the table for those performers to listen to and to hear and to feel. And I think for artists, they have a chance then to really respond in a sort of somatic, physical, emotional way without it being intellectualised. It becomes something that is a springboard for connection.
It was important for this project, which has come from community, to include the community. So we offered 8 or 9 different artists the chance to work on the project with us and to imbue the project with their different opinions, their different voices, their different perspectives and their different art forms and their different skills, to really represent a wide cross-section of the artistic community here, many of whom were affected by the floods.
They've then interpreted those stories with their own practice and have worked with their own communities and people who have been drawn to them and their practice. And they're transforming those stories and they're thinking about them in different ways.
Thematically, I am exploring the idea of embodied defiance. And embodied defiance, but also the embodied tension and kind of stress, I suppose, of living through something like climate crisis or an experience of climate crisis. And we're really exploring how, I suppose, defiance can be felt in terms of how we hold, how we sustain, how we also let go, how we give in, how we hold on, how we collapse.
I felt so strongly about the need to not only hear young people's voices, but also support them in finding prompts that are anchored in sort of provoking the question of what do they love about where they live and about their lives. The idea being that sort of if we get in early, we're able to start to cultivate communities of kindness and care for country and care for each other.
Well, I bring my perspective of someone who hasn't experienced a climate catastrophe. I've experienced a number of catastrophes and trauma, absolutely. I think that is a really positive perspective, a good perspective. If I'm someone people feel safe with, you know. I was invited to come on board Dinner Party at the End of the World, and the effect that I want the piece to create is joy and laughter, even though it's coming from core material of climate catastrophe. After resilience, what do we have? You know, we have each other, we have joy, you know, we have our lives.
Our strength lies in difference. And so we started looking at themes around the end of the world and disasters. All the artists had like a different idea about what their end of the world would look like. And we kind of allowed that to not have any restrictions put on it.
My end of the world is about survival stuff, like going out, like going hunting. Like if you go into battles first, in a war, if you die, we go to the Hauna to feast and drink. And that's in true warriors are. I got the warrior in me too. That's I know about end of the world of dinner feasting.
So each artist that we're working with on this project is following their own instincts towards developing their own work in creative development. We've also asked them to engage with community by offering workshops to local people, and the engagement's been awesome. I saw real moments of magic happen in those workshops. There was generosity and safety in those spaces that allowed people to be very open and collaborate with each other in really beautiful, honest, gorgeous ways.
We were exploring leaning in and literally, even just saying that, leaning on each other. We weren't talking about flooding, we weren't talking about recovery or helping people or anything, but I really got that sense that the leaning into each other was really holding each other up. So in a workshop context, what's beautiful about that is as a participant, you come and go through those processes. And so you get to exorcise, get it out, and hopefully with your other people who you're connecting with. And I think it's because we've had this special connection in our community, we're a special group of people. So to do that together with those special people who have maybe a common understanding, that's really strong and really important.
And it's great for communities to be able to have points where they come together and they share. I mean, historically, millennia, people have gathered around fires and told stories. They live in our telling of them. It's about sharing. Stories about sharing with each other.